The 70-year-old Minutair man is facing several felony charges as the result of an investigation into child sex abuse. KNEB.TV News starts right now.
From your trusted source for news in western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming, this is KNEB.TV News. Presented by Platte Valley Companies, premier provider of financial services.
Hello, I'm Ryan Murphy. This is KNEB.TV News, powered by Platte Valley Companies. Thanks for joining me. And our top story, John Wagner Jr. was taken into custody Friday on a warrant for felony third-degree sexual assault of a child. Authorities say last year, a young girl told a therapist and then forensic investigators that Wagner Jr. touched her inappropriately with a massager, his hands and fingers, starting in May of 2019 when she was 9 years old, and continuing through August of 2020. During the service of arrest and search warrants in the case, officers say they found a shotgun, shells, multiple knives, and more than an ounce of marijuana. Wagner Jr. was charged separately with possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, possession of a deadly weapon by a prohibited person, and marijuana possession more than 1 ounce. Preliminary hearings for both cases were set for later this week in Scottsbluff County Court. Sticking with the courts now, as a 39-year-old Colorado man arrested earlier this month on drug and weapons charges following a 130-mile-per-hour pursuit will make his first appearance in district court later this week. Anthony Smith was arrested on March 10th following a pursuit that started in Scottsbluff County on Highway 26 and ended in Morrill County on Highway 385. Smith is facing 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance, as well as felony charges of flight to avoid arrest and possession of a deadly weapon by a prohibited person. He will be arraigned on the 5 felony charges on Friday afternoon in Scottsbluff County District Court. We'll have more news right after this.
The journey of a dream becoming reality. When we're young, a dream develops into a passion. That passion continues to manifest and grows as you do. It becomes all you want to do and all you want to be. It gives you direction. It drives you. Then, your dream has become a reality. When that dream is ready to be reality, Platte Valley Bank will be with you every step of the way.
Hydrozen. Unplug and recharge. What is Hydrozen? It's total body relaxation. It's total body recharge. It's floating weightless on water. Floating your aches, pains, stresses, and worries away. Hydrozen is a revolutionary new therapy using Epsom salt saturated water as a way to relax and rejuvenate your body. And it's now available in Scottsbluff. It is for most ages and has many benefits to the mind and body. Visit hydrozenfloat.com or call us at 308-63-FLOAT.
Welcome back. A bill that would ban all abortions in Nebraska if states are given full regulatory authority over the procedure was placed on general file this month after a successful procedural motion. LB 933, introduced by Thurston Senator Joni Albright, would become operative contingent upon one of the 3 national triggering events, including if the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. Senator Patty Pansing Brooks said lawmakers had no right to impose such restrictions.
I have a 25-year-old daughter, and you bet I'm going to fight for her health care rights and her bodily autonomy and her ability to make her decisions with her physician and her pastor if she chooses, but not with the rest of you. You do not get to go into that medical room and decide what's best for my daughter in her life.
Senator Steve Erdman of Bayer supported the effort to pull the bill to the floor, saying unborn children deserve protection.
We protect dogs and cats more than we do babies. But it's a choice, right? It's a choice. What choice do you give the baby?
The other instances that would trigger the measure are if Congress enacts a law giving states complete authority to regulate abortion, or the U.S. Constitution is amended to give states that authority. And staying with the legislature now, as Nebraska lawmakers have given initial approval to a measure that could require the state to reimburse cities, schools, and other local governments anytime the state imposes a new expense on them. The proposed constitutional amendment advanced through the first of 3 required votes in the legislature by a vote of 34-5. If lawmakers pass it, the amendment would appear on the November general election ballot, where voters would approve or reject it. The measure was introduced by State Senator Carol Blood of Bellevue to help local governments and reduce the reliance on property taxes. Property owners often complain to state lawmakers about their high property tax bills. Many local governments argue that their expenses are partly driven by unfunded state mandates. And Democrat Carol Blood has chosen former state senator and Western Nebraska rancher Al Davis to be her running mate for the Nebraska governor. Blood, who is currently serving in the legislature, announced her pick on Sunday. Davis was a registered Republican when he represented the Sandhills for 1 term, but he's now registered as a Democrat. Davis lost his seat to Tom Brewer in 2016 after facing negative advertisements during the campaign over issues which he had clashed with Governor Pete Ricketts. Well, still to come, Bill Boyer with your weather and Shabella Guzman with your ag news. Those stories and more right after the break.
Western CPAP Supply has earned an impeccable professional reputation within the Wyoming and Western Nebraska region. Helping you get a good night's sleep is our passion. Our amazing team understands sleep disorders from a personal and professional level. We use CPAPs and BiPAPs too, and sometimes it just helps to work with people who share common ground. Our accredited CPAP supply company is approved by Medicare and Medicaid and is in network with every major insurance company in the region. Western CPAP Supply. We're here to help.
My name is Angela and I'm with Langer Industrial Services. There's a huge technology part in metal, just with all the programs we use, running the scale and paying people, all the software. He does 24/7 ransomware monitoring, making sure the programs run smoothly, making sure everything's running properly. So it's nice to have Jeremy there to call when things go wrong. He's always there right away. He's, within 30 minutes he shows up.
ERH Technology Solutions, we make technology work for you.
This is KNEB.TV weather from the KNEB Storm Center, your trusted source for weather.
We're going to see some areas of light rain around early this evening. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to stay up through most of the evening into the early morning hours tomorrow and be with us all day tomorrow. So again, rain will end this evening. It's going to be windy and just downright cold tomorrow before another system arrives Friday. Temps are going to go up and down through most of the next 7 days. Yesterday, we hit 80 after a morning low of 34 degrees. Missed that record by just a couple of degrees here. Nothing in the rain gauge. We are still below normal for the month and about normal for the year. Well, here you go. This is all you need to know right here with what's exactly going on in the region. You can tell where that cold front has made its way through. Areas to the east of it are seeing very mild conditions with some southerly winds out in front of the system. And then behind it, it's the northwesterly winds, and that is prompting this entire area for us to see some activity out there. The low pressure system well off to the south of us, that we're not too concerned about is in our area. We'll show you what that means for other areas here in a moment. Now, as we look across our area again, fully in the northwesterly flow in terms of winds out there and temperatures, mostly in the 30s and 40s, a few low 50s. In areas down around Ogallala, where winds there are gusting. These are sustained winds right now, anywhere from 20 to 30 miles an hour, and wind gusts that have been 30, 40, 50 miles an hour and over at times. And that's dropping those wind chills down into the teens and 20s, and that's where those wind chills are going to stay most of the day tomorrow. Severe weather threat, not a big concern here in our area, but just to show you the changing seasons here that we are getting into, we do have some severe weather threat off to our south and east areas around Lincoln and Omaha, down through Kansas City, even into portions of northern Kansas. Those areas are experiencing a slight risk of severe weather here tonight. Well, as we take a look at the bus stop forecast tomorrow, it's going to be sunny when you get on the bus. Temperatures in the upper 20s, but on the way home, it's going to be cloudy again and windy with temps only near 40. And unfortunately, that wind out there is not going to help at all. Now, we do have some snow mixed in at times with the rain showers. And as we go through Futurecast tonight, any of that activity is going to push off to the east and away from us. And then by overnight tonight into early morning tomorrow, we have clearing skies out here and a break from the clouds that have been around most of the day today. That's going to allow temps to fall as well down into the 20s. Now, tomorrow, we're going to start the day with some sun. You'll notice that northwesterly flow continues. It's going to be breezy and raw through most of the day. Some snow showers possible in the northern portions of the Panhandle and in the Sand Hills, and those will move off to the east of us into tomorrow night. The clouds that returned exit again, and we're going to be left with clearing skies as we start Thursday. Highs tomorrow, going to struggle, 30s, 40s, that's it. Wind chills, though, mostly going to be in the 20s throughout most of the day. It's going to be a cold, raw day out there. Additional precip to come in the form of moisture anyway. Most of us not going to get very much more, a few hundredths. As you go along and east of Highway 385, amounts increase a little bit. Could see a third of an inch of moisture. And some of that is going to fall in the form of snow, especially overnight tonight into tomorrow. Can't rule out a couple of inches around the Gordon area and into the northern Sand Hills. Everybody else, though, I think going to stay really no accumulations at all. Rain ending tonight, clearing, windy overnight, and winds gusting over 40 at times, lows in the upper 20s. Tomorrow, just a raw, windy, cold day. Temps only in the low 40s with winds gusting over that at times. Those winds will subside a bit. Thursday actually looks pretty nice with temperatures in the low 60s. Another system arrives for Friday, bringing some clouds and flurries. Some late-day sun returns. Saturday, Sunday, again look nice back into the 60s. Another little system comes through Monday, Tuesday, dropping temps a little bit and bringing some more wind back to the region.
This chair is way too big. It's perfect for us. This one's tiny. That's 'cause it's mine. Hey, this chair is just right. This bed is way too hard. It's perfect for me. This bed is way too soft. Just what I needed. This bed is just right. So come on over to Lee's Heads.
This is KNEB.TV Ag News from the FNBO Ag Desk. FNBO, the great big small bank.
Spring wheat is not a common crop in western Nebraska or eastern Wyoming. But with the war in Ukraine and forecasted shortages, some growers may be looking at raising the crop. Amanda Easterly, research assistant professor at the High Plains Ag Lab in Sydney, says if a grower is thinking of planting spring wheat, it needs to be in the ground this week.
The first thing that I would recommend, and it's not my specialty, is the economics, and that would be seed costs, fertilizer costs are another concern this issue, and then making sure that they have a plan for the marketing before they put it in the ground, because, again, spring wheat is kind of a smaller crop in the Panhandle. It's definitely a viable crop, but I think that's the first thing. You need to consider the economics, how you're going to get it to market, and so forth.
Since spring wheat isn't a big crop in western Nebraska, most grain elevators don't accept it. In eastern Wyoming, Matt Hahn, manager at Pine Bluffs Feed and Grain, says,
we'll take it usually if you bin it and then want to move it later. You know, the spring wheat market's kind of a different animal because it runs off of protein values, and you got to find a market for it, which is usually on rail.
Hahn says in Wyoming, growers will often use their spring wheat as a hay source for cattle, rather than putting it in storage to be milled later.
The Verizon family is full of frowns because they're spending too much for their unlimited data and phones, while the Viero family is all smiles because they're getting 4 lines of unlimited data with 2 free Apple iPhone SE for mom and dad and 2 free LG K31 smartphones for the kids, all for just $100 a month. They're saving so much, they're able to get Fido. Find out how you can too at Viero.com or your nearest Viero store. Viero Wireless, keeping you connected.
Well, let's take a look what's happening on today's community calendar. The community calendar is brought to you by Riverstone Bank. First State Bank is now Riverstone Bank. Community strong with the same people you know and trust.
Swipe right, swipe left, endlessly searching. Finding the perfect match isn't always perfect, but it can be when it comes to finances. Nora found the perfect business loan. Jenny opened her first savings account. Grammy loves her checking account. We found a match for Wilson Farms. The Sandersons were matched with a mortgage. Regardless of your financial situation, Platte Valley Bank will match you with the perfect solution. Find your match at Platte Valley Bank.
And finally tonight, now that spring has officially sprung, Panhandle residents have a great excuse to hit the great outdoors and enjoy the warm weather. Many have been utilizing the Monument Pathway, which also runs alongside the Riverside Discovery Center in Scottsbluff. Head zookeeper Alex Mason says they've added signage along their stretch of the pathway to encourage people to add the zoo to their exercise routine.
So we've actually had a few walkers since we do have individual memberships, people who don't have a family or just kind of by themselves. We do have them come in, they'll start at the monument or walk around that new pathway, and they'll actually come through the zoo, have a little fun walking through that, and then continue on. We've had families kind of detoured in here to give their kids a playground break or to let their kids see some of the animals and then kind of keep on going from there. We sometimes have people start jumping up the fence trying to see if they can see the bison or whatnot, so it's a lot of fun.
Zoo memberships are $55 for an individual or just $85 for a family membership. Well, that does it for us this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. We'll see you here next time.